All right, our next speaker, Sam Santos Julian, is a cartoonist and the creator of Octopus, a graphic novel that he self-published this very year. Published author. Sam studied creative writing at Stanford and has worked as a game and product designer originally from San Diego. Sam now lives in Daly City with his partner and dog. He volunteers as a scuba diver at the SF Aquarium of the Bay, where he gets to feed the wolf eels, giant sea bass, and of course, the octopus. Big round of applause for Sam!
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I've been to a few nerd nights and a few music events at the rickshaw stop, so it is surreal to be on stage right now. Thank you all for coming. All right, as David said, I have the unique vocation of being an octopus cartoonist. I've been working on my comic Octopus for a little over 2 years now, and just last week I launched the Kickstarter to print the first issue. Thank you. I expected a comic entirely about Octopus to be something of a hard sell, but it's gotten a really positive response so far. Yeah, so Octopus is a sci-fi fantasy set on a future where humans are extinct and octopus have inherited the Earth. I like to say it's the only post-apocalypse that's not a dystopia, because the humans are dead. Okay, so I, like a lot of people, love octopuses. They're these incredibly weird animals. An octopus is more closely related to a snail than they are to us. Our last common ancestor was probably a Precambrian flatworm, so there's not a whole lot of shared reference points. But because they're so intelligent, I think it's way more possible to empathize with them than, say, a snail. So, to make Octopus, I had to learn how to draw an octopus. And then I had to unlearn all of that and learn to draw them in a way that worked for the purposes of telling a story. So tonight I want to share that journey with you. So I'm going to talk a bit about the biology of the animals, why they're so difficult to draw, go over some common pitfalls, and then I'll take you through my own technique that I use to draw an octopus, and hopefully by the end you'll understand not only how to draw an octopus, but why to draw an octopus. So it's my belief that when people are learning about the octopus, they're learning to care more about the other. And by expanding their sense of empathy, they become more likely to care about the environment as a whole. And we as a species become a little less likely to boil the planet. But of course, when I started the comic, I wasn't thinking about any of that. Believe it or not, I got started with Octopus, and it was particularly appealing because I like the idea of not drawing any human figures. I like drawing animals. That's my wheelhouse. I'm comfortable there. Humans are hard. I was like, with an octopus, there are no rules. They got no bones. Nobody will know if I do it wrong. How wrong I was. There are so many rules. Octopus body is incredibly complicated. Instead of 4 relatively consistent limbs, I now had to deal with 8 that could be literally anywhere. So, kudos to everyone who took the time to draw an octopus tonight, or make an octopus. These are amazing. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share them all with the audience after the talk. But since you may have found it unfair that I'm judging these and require that you turn them in before this instructional talk, I thought I'd break the ice a little bit by showing you one of my early drawings of Octopus. So this is from back in 2013. This is probably the first evidence I have that I was even thinking about Octopolis. If you're a millennial, you may remember that chat apps were like a dime a dozen then, and you could buy like a sticker pack in the App Store for 99 cents. So I was doing a series of little octopus characters. This is my angry emotion. Now, pop quiz, what's wrong with this octopus? Yeah, lots of things are wrong with this, but there's one specific thing I'm looking for.
Eyes in the front.
What was that? Yes. He's got 2 siphons. These, if octopus have these siphons that they expel water from, and this octopus has 2. Now, are like me, maybe unfamiliar with the octopus, at the time I had never seen one up close, you could probably be forgiven for thinking that it had two siphons. I think you could be forgiven. Here's some photos of. Oh, sorry. Here's some photos of an octopus from both the left and the right side, and you can see there is a siphon in both photos. And octopus, like most animals, are bilaterally symmetrical, right? Two siphons. Well, you can imagine my chagrin when I found this photo. So, an octopus has one siphon. It's along the center line of its body. It's just so tremendously flexible that it can turn it and point it from either side. So, if any of you just submitted a drawing of an octopus with two siphons, rest assured, I've been there. All right. And there's a lot of misinformation out there as well, so we'll see about that. We're going to start with a quick primer on octopus biology before we continue so that we're all on the same page. So, an octopus is a cephalopod, which means head foot in Latin, referring to these two parts. And right off the bat, that's wrong. So this part here is called the mantle, and it's not the head or the brain. It's more accurately the torso. It contains the digestive, reproductive, and circulatory systems of the octopus. There is this one hole in the back, very creatively called the aperture, and then the single siphon extends from there and expels water and pretty much everything else. Now, the head of the octopus, if you would call it that, is right here in the center. Here's where you'll find the eyes, the brain, and the mouth. Octopus eyes are fascinating for a number of reasons, but for this talk, I'm just going to talk about the salient characteristics for drawing them. So they have horizontal pupils, though in low light those can dilate and become mostly round. And they do have an iris. It's hard to tell because they can change color just like the rest of their bodies, but they do have one. All right, extending down from the head is this sort of umbrella shape of skin that connects all of the arms. This is called the web. And then, as you probably know, an octopus has 8 arms. Here I am obligated to tell you that an octopus does not have any tentacles. That's right. They're arms. So, tentacles, you may already know this, are specialized limbs found only on squid, cuttlefish, other cephalopods. An octopus has arms because you can see that the tentacles, they have suckers only on the ends. And then an octopus arm has suckers that go all the way down. So, yeah, technically, octopus have arms, not tentacles. Why did scientists do this to us? I don't know. Maybe they just like correcting people. All right, so octopus has 8 arms, and each of those arms has hundreds of suckers that go along the interior of the arms, running all the way back towards the center, where they converge on a beak, which is the octopus's mouth. So, if you think about it, the octopus's limbs are not really arms or feet. They're really more like opposable lips. Hopefully that helps. All right, yeah, so just to reinforce this, octopus mouths, they are on the inside of the web, not on the outside, and they end in a beak. Simple, right? All right. This is a bit of a digression, but I want to reinforce how the complexity of the cephalopod body confuses people and robots. I've seen this sort of prevalence of AI art, and AI really just can't seem to draw octopus yet. Here's just a few examples. All right, so on the left, this looks pretty accurate, but if you look closely at the suckers here, we start out with 2 rows, it drops down to 1, and then by the end we have 3. So, sorry, big fail there. The suckers are particularly confusing. If you look here, it's actually got suckers on the outside of the mantle. Pretty disturbing. This is a video from Sora, this OpenAI video generator, and the whole body, the skin are just suckers, and they're like appearing and disappearing. They're like moving around. It's wild. Pretty upsetting. And yeah, so like this is not surprising, right? Like the usual response that I get is that no duh, AI can't even draw hands, right? There's no way they're gonna be able to draw an octopus. They're just too complex. And yeah, that's true. And as an octopus artist, I should probably be pleased by the apparent job security. I do admit I find it amusing that octopuses are so good at camouflage that they've even fooled robots. But AI like this is becoming way more prevalent, and these images are really common. These actually have the potential to kind of misinform people about what octopus really look like. I found this image being used as a quote-unquote science blog header. Yeah, so if the public is misinformed about octopus biology, how are our AIs ever going to learn? All right, so maybe AIs would do a better job if our education system taught our children what octopuses look like. Let's see if humans can do better and evaluate some popular depictions of octopus for biological accuracy. All right, before I move on, I want to say this is a tongue-in-cheek critique. Every single one of these characters was designed by artists who are much more talented than me. So this is all in good fun. Also, I'm going to say that these kinds of octopus-human hybrids are disqualified. These are characters, excuse me a moment. Yeah, your Ursulas, your Davy Joneses, these are all octopus-human hybrids, and so not subject to the exacting standards of a true octopus. They are also all uniformly wrong for biological reasons, but I'm going to just set that aside. My mentor and fellow octopus cartoonist, Dana Staff, has more to say about that. So yeah, today we're only analyzing the biological accuracy of true octopus. First up, we got Dave the Octopus. This is the antagonist from Penguins of Madagascar. Now, despite being an octopus, Dave has only 6 legs, so already we're off to a bad start. He spends most of his time disguised as a human, and there's a very clever bit of visual punnery where he reveals his identity and his ears become siphons. But that siphon's plural. He's got 2 siphons. More egregious is this horrifying mouth. Oop, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. This, like, toothed mouth. 1 out of 5 C stars for Dave. All right, Squidward, JQ Tentacles. Now, before you try and tell me Squidward is a squid, true fans know he is canonically an octopus. All right, Squidward unfortunately also only has 6 arms. His suckers are restricted to his palms, which make them tentacles, not arms. He does have horizontal pupils, so that's good. But what's going on with his face here? Now, I wanted to be charitable and say that this is his aperture and that his nose is a siphon, but Exhibit A, here is Squidward eating Krabby Patties with his mouth, and I'm sorry, that's just not where the mouth goes. Are there any good examples? 2 out of 5 C stars for Squidward, by the way. How about Hank the Septopus from Finding Dory? Now, this character is a work of art. It's absolutely fantastic. He's got these great camouflage gags. His animation is amazing. How does he hold up on biology? Well, he's a septopus, yes, but that's because he lost an arm, so we're okay there. His suckers, his arms, those are all great. But I do regret to inform you he has 2 siphons. The animators tried pretty hard to make sure that it was never in frame at the same time as one or the other, but definitely the model has 2 siphons, sorry to say. And so Hank seems to have solved the mouth on the front of the face problem. When Hank talks, he flaps his web in the front, which seems pretty good. It seems to have solved it, but there's something weird going on here. Let's enhance. Enhance. Hank has a human mouth. Sorry, Hank, I love you, but that's at least half a star docked. 4.5 C stars. Okay, why am I doing this? Obviously, these artists are not ignorant. They know what octopus look like, right? Why are they introducing these concessions? Well, expediency is an obvious reason. It takes a long time to draw detail. Even Pixar cut off an arm to save on rendering time, right? Another reason is clarity. Having a mouth to indicate who is talking is pretty important for animation. But the most important reason, and the one I want to talk about tonight, is empathy. Ultimately, all of these simplifications are techniques designed to make these octopus characters more relatable to their audience. So all octopus drawings, even my own, make concessions so that octopus are easier to empathize with. Now, what exactly do I mean by empathy? All right, in his book Behave, Stanford neuroscientist behavioral expert Dr. Robert Sapolsky describes empathy as a complex biological response that involves both emotional and cognitive components. So, combination of hearts and minds. Okay, technically it's all mind. But essentially, when we observe pain, we project that pain onto ourselves with an effective response. Rats will exhibit a fear response when they see another rat in pain. But here's the catch. That rat is going to have a much stronger effective response when it sees a rat it knows. So, our brains are quite a bit more sophisticated. We can empathize within our own species, and we can empathize with these poor rats here. But it's still modulated by our categorizations of us and them. This can be modified, but it takes cognitive effort, and that's where comics come in. Cartoonists are empathy technicians. They know better than anyone how to reduce a character to its most basic, appealing qualities, so you fall in love with them. In understanding comics, Scott McCloud tries to formalize the ways cartoons abstract representational imagery into simpler, more iconic forms. Paradoxically, this stripping down of the image actually makes us engage with the image more readily than a more realistic photograph. When you're viewing a realistic representation of a face, your brain notices all these little differences. But when you look at a cartoon, you see similarities. That's the theory anyways. For time, I'm going to skip through this example, but here's Pogo, the opossum, and here's what a real opossum looks like. Difficult to empathize with one when you find it in your garbage. So it's no wonder that all these octopus characters have added mouths. The very simplistic representation of a face is two eyes and a mouth, and an octopus lacks this most basic characteristic that helps people connect emotionally with them. So here's another confession. I'm not going to teach you how to draw a perfectly accurate octopus. That's not what I do. If I were to draw real octopus the entire time, it wouldn't be a very engaging book. An octopus would, take forever to draw. So I use the principles of cartooning to simplify, focus, anthropomorphize, and I just like to tread the line between familiar and alien a little more dangerously than most. And the personal hill I'll die on is that an octopus mouth does not go in the front of its face. Thank you. All right, with that out of the way, I'm going to quickly take you through my process of actually drawing an octopus. So like most drawing, you start with a circle. This is going to be the octopus's face. Then you take another circle, and this is going to be the octopus's mantle. You can put this in a lot of different places because the octopus mantle can change sizes, placement, and just depending on their mood, motion, species, etc. So generally, for my most neutral poses, I just take one of the same size. And you want it to be kind of attached to the head at a tangent. This is a 3/4 view. Now here's a bit of innovation that I think is actually interesting. I add a little ellipse that I call a hoop skirt. This is going to be where the webbing ends. And also this can basically go anywhere you want the arms to go, but this is going to be where the web ends. And so now once you've got that in place, you're going to connect all of those together. I've just sort of quickly added the aperture and the siphon here, and now you have the basic shape of an octopus, basically 2 spheres and a cone. Next, I add these smaller ellipses at a regular spot all along the edges of the main ellipse. And this is so that all of the legs can be seen and sort of like identified so that they're in the right place. Octopus arms are always from like the regular, like a consistent place on the outside of their body where they're facing forward. So you don't want to have one in like the very center, like an elephant trunk or something. And I'll usually draw guidelines here. So the front 2 arms are going to sort of bisect right at the center of the head. The middle 2 arms on either side are going to go at right 90 degrees or east and west. Then you just draw the rest of the arms, right? I've simplified the arms pretty greatly. This is a cartooning technique. Octopus arms are extremely complicated, so I like to do nice simple curves whenever I can. And then we're going to extend those guidelines along sort of the middle point of the arms as we go here. We're sort of bisect them, and then these are going to be kind of a planar distinction to sort of guide where the suckers are going to be. So the suckers are pretty complicated. They can take a while, so I usually try and do them in a separate layer. So I'll usually jump to a different layer and then draw a bunch of suckers. I have some specific techniques for the suckers that I can share with you. So sometimes I will just draw like the negative space along this line, and then I can just erase the rest and use this main curve to keep the suckers visible here. Sometimes I'll just draw the sort of space between the suckers to reduce overall complexity of the suckers. And then in terms of sizing, I don't really worry too much about how big they are, or I don't count the suckers. That's a loser's game. Yeah, suckers. The thing is, so while they do get smaller as they head towards the edge of the tip of the arm, they can be individually articulated, and so they'll be bigger or smaller or angled at certain ways all along the length of the arm. So basically, you don't have to worry about it too much as long as you're relatively consistent. So there you have it. Add some eyes and details, and you have a relatively biologically accurate octopus. Now, my octopus tend to look a little bit more like that. This is one of those concessions in the service of empathy that I was talking about. Eyes are a pretty interesting case study because octopus eyes, they're a little hard to empathize with. They're mostly on the side of the faces, and they have these horizontal pupils, which always look like they're judging me. So I tend to move the eyes towards the center of the face, and I add more round pupils. I have like little, sort of nods to the horizontal pupil sometimes, but other times I don't even use that. So eyes really are the window to the soul when it comes to human emotional recognition. And when I've already limited myself by not showing a mouth, it's pretty much all I've got to lean on. So experimenting with these cartoon techniques has offered me a lot of creative space within the world of Octopus. When I try and make a character appear emotionally open, I draw cartoon eyes. And when I emphasize the character's alien inscrutability, I take a more realistic approach. Looking at this spectrum, at what point do you start to connect with the octopus? What emotions do you read on its faces? If I've done my job by the end of the comic, you'll be able to empathize with both the drawing on the left and the right. Ultimately, that's the goal here. Human activity is destroying our oceans. If we don't do something about it, a lot of weird, wonderful life on the planet will die, including us. To know something is to love it. I think that through Octopus, readers can learn to love octopuses and the world they live in, which is ultimately our world. Like any science fiction, Octopus isn't about the future, it's about us. Every day, we're challenged to care about parts of the world that are alien and other to us. If we don't learn how to consciously extend our sense of empathy from us to them, we'll find too late that there never really was a them in the first place, and that the enemy was us. Thanks.
Thank you, Sam. All right, now we're gonna do a very quick judging of the octopus contest. We will have to be very quick because we're running out of time.
All right, I wanted to call out a few highlights here. Great job, everybody who did a clever one, like, oh no, it escaped. Nice job there. I really appreciate this octopus holding a cocktail. This is gonna be me in a few minutes. Oops, I inked. Love that. Yeah, these are all amazing. This octopus with a top hat. And, oh. We have an octopus eating takoyaki. Octopus are cannibals. I really like this one. This is very beautiful. These are all amazing. I could not stop staring at this one. Like, what is going on? Yeah, this is a deep cut. This is a paleo-octopus. A paleo-octopus? I think. Serrate octopus, anyways. Here's an octopus attacking the Golden Gate Bridge. All right, cool. The ultimate victor in this case, which, I mean, I wish you could all be winners, but I can't pay for this many drinks, is going to be this octopus playing the bass. That's super cool. I think it says Linda. Linda, come find us for your drink ticket afterwards. This is super groovy. I really want to also draw attention to, honorable mention to these octopus with fantastic origami, if you can call it origami when tape is involved. I love these. Yeah, thank you all so much.